Have you ever had a time in your life where you genuinely didn't want a serious relationship, but still wanted connection and chemistry? Fling is a dating app that's designed for this intention, where you can meet people who are on the same page and there's no pressure to define what you're looking for, whether you're coming out of a relationship or divorce, or you just don't have the time to really date. Fling is a great alternative to get back out there because casual dating is only problematic when we aren't aligned on expectations. You can keep things light, be upfront about your intentions, and connect with people who are looking for the same vibe. And the best part is that for women, Fling is completely free to join. You can sign up and start using the app immediately without any paywall standing in the way. You also get to choose who can see you, share photos privately, and keep things discreet, which gives you more control over the experience. It's time as women we reclaim the Fling in a way that works for us. Download the Fling app in the App Store or visit fling.me today. Again, you can download the Fling app in the App Store or visit fling.me today.
If you're someone whose book talk algorithm is basically just dark romance recommendations, I have one for you. Losers Part 1 and Part 2 by New York Times bestselling author Harley LaRue. I love this book because it transported me back to high school. It's a dark romance that starts with a former queen bee reconnecting with the four guys she used to bully in high school. What begins as revenge turns into something way deeper. Found family, healing, queer representation, kink exploration, and honestly, some of the most emotionally layered relationships I've ever read in this genre. It was such a page turner, I could not put it down. The relationships between all the characters are what made the story so addictive. And if you're a physical book collector, the new deluxe editions are gorgeous. They have stenciled edges, exclusive fan art, and the foil covers connect to create one complete set. You can find Losers Part 1 and 2 by Harley LaRue wherever books are sold in print and in ebook.
For a long time, I thought love was mostly a feeling. Chemistry, intensity, butterflies. If someone felt strongly about me, I assumed that meant the relationship was solid. But what I didn't realize is feelings can be real and still not translate into the kind of love that actually sustains a relationship. Love as behavior, not just a feeling. That's what we're digging into today. I'm Yue.
And I'm Julie. And we're sharing what we learned the hard way so you don't have to.
Love is not enough. Just love is not enough. Whatever you were told in middle school is false.
This was the hardest lesson I learned for sure. Because, I've shared this story on this podcast so many times, but I finally met this person. I feel like I had all these dating experiences that never really went anywhere. These mini relationships that never really got off the ground, almost relationships or situationships before the name situationship existed. And then I met someone. And I was like, finally, it's all falling into place. And I still, to this day, I really believe he did deeply love me, but it just wasn't enough. He was not in the right capacity for a long-term relationship. And it was a really hard lesson to learn that two people can deeply love each other. And that's not really what holds a relationship together.
Yep. And the course of falling in love is what makes it really tricky because falling in love is sort of out of your control. You don't have a choice of who you fall in love with. Let nature take its course. So then you feel like it's fated. It is the story, right? We were meant to fall in love. But to stay in love and make the relationship work, that's on you and the other person. That takes effort. That takes intentionality. That takes alignment. And that's the phase that doesn't always line up. So we put so much weight on the part that is out of our control when nature just lets you fall in love and puts you two together in front of each other. But then when it comes to the efforted part, we feel like, oh, that should just fall into place, just like the beginning of falling in love.
And personally, I do believe that you still need love as the baseline because that's what makes it, that's what makes the work and the effort worth it. That's what makes getting through the conflicts actually possible to repair after that or, putting in the sacrifices sacrifices. I mean, every relationship is a bit of a sacrifice. How much you sacrifice is clearly like, whether it's self-abandonment versus like, I'm choosing a different meal tonight than I would have wanted. Very different levels of sacrifice that we touched upon in another episode. But I think with both, like, you need to be in the headspace to be able to work through it, but love the foundation needs to be there too.
Yeah, like you're in love, but also like you have love for this person. Like the baseline to love someone has to be there, and the other stuff can't override that. So I agree, that's the foundation. But then you have to also build upon the love, because the love changes throughout the years.
But then when you think about it, like there are a lot of like I think of like Indian matchmaking, for instance, where like the love maybe wasn't there. It's just two people being put together. And maybe it's not that a relationship needs love to be sustained, but like I guess it just, maybe, I don't know. I'm like going back and forth on this one because like, I think like if the fundamentals are there, like you could still have a relationship. It's just going to look different than the relationship that we've been like sold, like the love story we've been sold. Like you could have a functioning relationship without love, but I'm not sure if you could have a functioning relationship without the work that needs to go into a relationship.
Maybe it's the commitment to love. I think with Indian matchmaking, you're committing to love this person before ever meeting them. And in a relationship that you want it to sustain, you're committing to love each other as long as you're both aligned. And the love will waver and ebb and flow. And maybe the love wasn't even there to begin with like a matchmaking service, but you're committing to at least wanting to love this person.
Well, I do think like love grows over the years. Like it starts, like you might think you're in love with someone, but a lot of it's just lust at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And, eventually it becomes like to this like, deep connection to this, like, this person is my family. This person is my life. Like that doesn't happen overnight. That grows. Like I just even think back on my relationship. Like, of course, like I felt like myself. I felt good in this person's presence. But looking back on it, I'm like, I did feel like more, performative than I even thought, because like now it's at this level that's like so comfortable and so like enmeshed and like so like this is my family. And that just wasn't there on month 1 to 6 because that's just not realistic.
Right. Yeah. Because 1 through 6, you're letting nature take over. That's all the dopamine that's coming in, and you're just like on this high. But to have that familial love is so deep and so different than lustful love. And they're all like, we're going to give equal weight to all kinds of love, right? In a relationship, you're going to experience all of it. But to get to that deep familial love is probably the hardest and takes most effort to get there. But that is what sustains a relationship.
I think the commitment, though, like the commitment to love and the commitment to be there in hard times, like that to me was something that my current relationship had that none of my past relationships ever had, especially the on again, off again one. It was like anytime it got a little challenging, and not even like challenging between the two of us necessarily, but even like they were going through something, instead of turning to your partner and being like, I'm committed to like working through this with you and being with you. And, both parties being like, in hard times and good times, we're going to be together and we're going to push through things. That's different than like bouncing and being like, I'm going to do it on my own. Like, I think that is like, a lot of us default to that, especially in the early stages. It's like either it gets hard for the other person and you're like, ooh, like they're unemployed right now and things aren't going good for them. Like this is a lot. Maybe they're not right for me, instead of being like, let me work through it with them. Or on the other side, you're like, I'm not in a good place. I'm unemployed. I'm not feeling good about who I am. I need to like be not with this person and just like focus on me. I think both of those are a sign of like, the reality is in any partnership, there's going to be highs and lows for both people. So it's like, how do you like work through them together as a team? And, that to me is the real testament if something can actually like work and be in a long-term relationship or not.
Yeah, what I grapple with is that romantic love is conditional. I mean, there's got to meet certain conditions to stay in love with someone. And your love for yourself, for example, is unconditional because you can't leave yourself, right? So you're always going to be like committed to me. But what we're trying to get at with romantic love is to get at most unconditional as possible, even though it'll never be completely unconditional. But that takes so much commitment, so much work. And I see it with my parents throughout their many different phases of their love. And now they're at a point of love where it's like they are family and it is pretty much unconditional at this point. It's like, like we've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
It's pretty much unconditional now. But still, it still takes so much effort because your life is changing so fast now, especially with technology and AI, et cetera, that they're also navigating like used to be, you have like 10-year phases in your relationship. Now they're like 2-year phases because the world is changing and your relationship's changing.
Yeah, I think it's like no one's saying like stay in a bad relationship. Like I think there's a difference of like a rough patch of someone's personal life or like even like the relationship altogether, like something like we need to figure this out. We need to work through it versus like, this is not a good relationship for me. And, figuring out the difference between those two, I wish there was like a little checklist we could give you. It's like, unfortunately not that straightforward, but I do think like advocating for yourself and like not staying conditionally if you're being treated poorly or it's just a miserable experience. That's why dating is so hard too, because a lot of it is like time sensitive. Like if you meet someone and you develop like 3 years together, and then you have that setback, it's really different than like if that setback comes like 2 months in. I think it's easier to be like, okay, I'm going to like abandon, or for that person to be like, I'm just not ready. So a lot of it's like that piece. But I think so some of it's just like timing, right? And getting kind of lucky a little on time. But also another piece though is having tools like when there is like any form of conflict. It doesn't need to be major conflict, but I think a lot of us bounce at like any sign of anything. And I feel like I used to be this way. Like I'd be like, oh, like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want that to scare them off. Or if there was like a fight that happened, I'm like, okay, it's over now. And it doesn't need to be like that extreme. And I think if we find people that are relationship minded, they look at that as like a way to like a problem to solve, not necessarily like an end. And I think like for me, like my partner, like there were times like I will give him more credit than me even sometimes in that. Like there were times that he was like, we're like staying and working through this.
Yeah. But those are the times where, love alone can't get you through it.
No.
But we also have to understand we can hold both truths at the same time. You can both be in love with someone and be in conflict with them.
Yeah.
And I think in early dating for me, I always just assumed, well, if he loved me, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If he loved me, he would treat me different, or we wouldn't be fighting about this if he loved me. But now I fully understand. Yeah, someone can love you and still be like, that's not right, or call you out on something, or just have a different value than you do at some point in your relationship. But I used to think like, well, love should help us through all this. We don't need to talk about it. Like, we love each other. That's why we're back together for the 10th time, But if you haven't worked through those issues, love alone just cannot carry you through it.
So maybe we should get into like what are signs of like you can work through something versus signs you can't. But before we do, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors.
Time to get comfortable with Avocado Green Mattress. Their certified organic mattresses are specifically designed to relieve pressure points, support your body the way it needs, and help you actually get the deep, restorative sleep you've been missing. Every mattress is made with thoughtfully sourced materials and built with real care, so you get incredible sleep night after night. I'm proud to say I can now tell the difference between something that's just marketed well versus something that's actually well made. Like if I'm spending that much time in bed, hopefully sleeping, but occasionally spiraling, I want the mattress underneath me to actually support my body. Am I spiraling? It feels like one of those grown-up purchases where you're like, oh yeah, This is what quality feels like. Avocado products are made, not manufactured, and thoughtfully crafted with real materials to deliver lasting comfort and support. Go to avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable to check out their mattresses and furniture sale. That's avocadogreenmattress.com/DATEABLE. avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable.
For all my fantasy romance lovers, there is a book for you to check out called Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick. It was an instant New York Times bestseller and started as a huge indie book talk hit. So if you've seen people raving online, this is the book. If you love dark romantasy, this one delivers. It's got fae, dragons, gods, shifters, vampires, basically everything you want, plus a really unique twist with modern technology woven into the fantasy world. It truly felt like you were being transported into a new world as I was reading this, which to be honest was the relief I needed for the crazy world we're living in. What I really liked too was that this series emphasizes mental health as the female main character is battling depression and anxiety, which ends up being a major plot point for the book. It's on sale now, so if you've been looking for your next fantasy binge, this is it. You can find Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick wherever books are sold in print and ebook.
Your home is more than just furniture. It's an extension of who you are, and the details matter more than you think. Like a rug. The right rug can completely transform how a space feels. And that's why I'm obsessed with my Ruggable. I went with this warm, neutral, boho-inspired design for my living room with earthy tones and a fun pattern. And it instantly made the whole space feel more intentional. Like, oh, someone put some thought into this. And what sealed the deal for me is that it's completely machine washable. Like my dog Mojo does not care about interior design, and neither does Red Wine, apparently. So I've thrown it in the wash and it comes out looking brand new every time. It's built for real life. Refresh your home at ruggable.com. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with promo code DATEABLE at ruggable.com. That's ruggable.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout.
I mean, I think when someone is committed to making it work, there can be conflict. There can be differing places that you're both in your life stage. But it's like, how do we turn inwards together and approach this versus someone that maybe isn't ready or like isn't a good partner or isn't the right partnership for you? It's like my way only, or, like you can't be heard here. Like you can only, I've had some friends that have said like when things like weren't going well for them, like their partner just wasn't there. Like they truly just couldn't hold space at all. And I think we have to remember too that like we're human and like there's going to be ups and downs. That doesn't mean that like you treat them as like a punching bag and like every day is down. But I think there's a line of like, we still need to recognize that like none of us are perfect and like accept the person for who they are too.
This may be a hot take, but I do find it problematic when people make grand gestures around love.
Yes, I agree.
And then don't follow through with working through conflict.
Yeah.
So I'm giving examples of, you get into major conflict and you both stump out of the room and then they come back with a grand gesture like, but I love you. You're the person for me. Here's, 3 dozen flowers and we love each other. We can work through it. And then all they want to do is just shove it under the rug and say, well, love will take care of it.
Yeah.
We don't need to address it. And it's so tempting. I had so many of those relationships in my 20s. It's so tempting because, you're like, oh my God, this is my boombox moment. John Cusack boombox moment for anybody who's old of like this grand gesture of like, I want you and I only want you because I'm so in love with you. Obviously, the credits are going to going to start rolling here because this is our happily ever after. But if you don't address the root of the conflict, guess what? It always comes back.
I remember like even, I don't know, in my 30s, I had a friend that like her and her boyfriend were kind of like this, like tumultuous, and like they broke up and I had plans to like go out with her, and then she like called and she's like, actually, he's back. Is it cool if he comes out with us? And I'm like, I don't want a third wheel, like knowing that this happened. So I like brought another friend too, and the 4 of us went out. And they just like were so over the top sweet to each other. Like it felt fake. It felt not okay. Like my friend and I were both like, this feels bizarre. Like it feels like they are just completely ignoring what happened and just pretending like that never happened. And yeah, like I think it can't be that extreme. Like I think it's okay to be upset about things and maybe even take like a little bit to work through it. Like I remember like going through things and it's being like, okay, I'm gonna forgive to the point that we like continue to like live life together, but I'm not like, we're still talking about this. Like this hasn't like gone away.
Yes. This doesn't override anything that happened already. And this doesn't override all the pre-existing issues. But what is such a red flag is when you keep revisiting the same things over and over again and you don't talk about them, but you just have these grand gestures of I love you, and you're just going to be in this roller coaster time and time again. But I do think in relationships, you have to give it some time for patterns to play out. So you see, okay, we keep coming up with the same issue, same conversations, but it takes two to redirect those conversations for the next time it happens. So you have a different reaction. The most problematic relationships I've seen are the ones who are like, we are so in love. We're so good to each other. Everybody, look at how much we are in love with each other. And then it's like the same patterns, repeat. And then then it's like, we broke up again. No, but we're back because we're so in love with each other.
Well, I think it's the words and actions have to align because that was definitely the mistake I made in my on again, off again relationship. What would happen? It'd be like clockwork. It'd be like we would break up because something difficult would happen in my partner's life. And he couldn't do it. Like he couldn't be in a relationship.
Couldn't do it. Yep.
And then a month later, he would return. He would be like, I miss you. I love you so much.
Yes.
And I would fall for it because I was like, wanted to hear that. I never once was like, what changed in the month? Like, what makes you ready now? The reality was nothing. He just felt the feeling. But that wasn't the problem. Like the feeling was always there.
Yeah.
And a month later, the same issue would happen. Something else would happen. He'd be like, this isn't like, I can't commit to a real relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd stop, wouldn't talk for a couple months, come back. And I think if I was to redo that, I mean, I personally think anytime you're like breaking up all the time, it's problematic. I think there can be times that like you come back together and realize like things have changed, but it needs to be very conscious of like, this is what has changed in my life that gives me the capacity to do this now that was not there before. Or this is what I see now, or this is what I want to like work through with you. It can't just be like, I miss you.
No, it can't. It can't. I have a very hilarious graduation story. In college, I had a graduation dinner and there was a very small intimate dinner my parents treated us. But I invited 3 of the guys I dated seriously in college. All 3 of them came to dinner. And my girlfriends who were at this dinner were like, what is this? Like, why are all your exes here? So after I graduated, I redated all 3 of them again because I wanted to see what it's like to date them out of the context of college. And all 3 of them had come back to me in some capacity of like, but I think I'm in love with you, or I think we're meant to be. All 3 of them repeated the same patterns and the same conversations, even after college. And I think that was my major wake-up call that, just because I thought by removing myself from the context of where this relationship started, things would change. No, if people don't want to change their behavior, they're never going to change, no matter what context they're in. And I kept telling myself these stories like, one of them has got to be the one for me, right? One of them I'm meant to be with. No, those are just stories in my head. And a lot of times people don't have the capacity not to love you. They have the capacity to love you. They don't have the capacity to change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that is what the core of it is. I think sometimes when people don't have the capacity to be in the relationship, they know that like things are going to get exposed or they're going to have to confront certain habits or ways of thinking or whatever they're doing, that maybe it's easier to just be like, I'd rather live solo and not have to confront these things. Yeah. I think a lot of times that's the case, but that also means that like you can have a loving relationship with someone, but it's still not going to be the type of relationship that lasts
No.
like for the long haul because that side of confronting is not there.
I think, the cheesy thing to say is if you don't know how to love yourself, you're going to keep receiving this sort of tumultuous love.
Yeah.
Because if you never consistently loved yourself in a peaceful way before. So as much as I hate sounding like an Instagram quote, you do need to learn how to love yourself first before you know how to receive the healthy love that you deserve.
Well, in a way that you're like, this isn't aligned with what I want. And like being able to discern that someone could love you and say all the things, but also not be able to put in the effort and match your energy. And that's okay. I mean, I think that's something too. Like I, for so long, used to blame myself, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I get this person to commit? And I look back at like a lot of my exes that are still single. And it's like, it wasn't me. Like it's them. That's just who they are. And that's fine. But at the same, it's fine. And I think like you can have these experiences and be like, look, I was in love with this person and it was great and it didn't work out for the long haul. And that's okay. It got me to where I needed to go. And I think now I can see all that. And I actually don't have any like ill feelings towards people because I'm able to see that. But at the time, I definitely like took it as like a pattern that this keeps happening to me, that I find these people that are like professing their love and saying how into me they are, but then they can't commit. But I do think it was just the types of people I was picking.
Yeah. And like you brought this up, like they're different kinds of love and you just have to accept them for what they are.
Yeah.
Some love is long lasting love like you have with your husband, and some love, I call it like capsule love. It's like you only have it for a certain amount of time, appreciate it for what it is, and then it maxes out at a certain time period. And if you keep letting that go, then you're going to deplete that love eventually. So why not exit at the peak and say like, this is at the max capacity. I still respect this person. I respect this relationship, but now it's time to get the fuck out.
It takes like
that
conscious understanding and not fantasy projection. Yeah. I also do think another whole conversation for another time is like when someone's telling you they love you, but they're like saying really nasty things to you and like treating you shitty. So like just saying I love you is not excusing behaviors. But that's like a very in-depth conversation that we could go longer on for sure.
And just a food for thought question. Do you think you could fall in love with someone who's not falling in love with you?
Absolutely.
Really?
100%.
One-sided?
Yeah. Unrequited love for sure. I think that they have to have maybe they have some level of love for you. Or maybe your love isn't like it's lust. So maybe it's not like you have, like it can't be 0 to like 100. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Is like, maybe it's like they are giving you a little and you're like thinking it's more and feeling more than they actually feel, but they're still giving to you. So I think that's possible. Or they're giving you really nothing, but you're confusing lust with love.
Yeah. I think that's definitely happened in my earlier years because it was more one-sided because I was making up the stories. But yeah, it's not like it was 100 to 0, but it definitely intentions-wise were not aligned.
Right. But they were probably giving you like a little
something
for you to even go there.
Something. Yes.
But I do think there were times like looking back, like there was this situationship I had for like 2 years that I've talked about. And I think like he definitely gave me some. I don't want to say it was like 0, but I also like blew it way out of proportion in my head.
Yeah.
And looking back and I'm like, he did actually transparently say like a lot of things. Like, I don't want a serious relationship. I don't want to do this. And I was like, oh, but he'll change. And like that. I think I was confusing lust with love for sure on that one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I've definitely been there. I dated someone, I was falling in love with this guy who said, I will never love you. He literally said those words. He's like, I just can't see myself ever falling in love with you. And I was like, just you wait.
So much of it's like, where are you coming in yourself for sure?
For sure. And that's why we're doing this series, y'all, because these are things we had to learn the hard way so that maybe you're going through it, maybe you're supposed to go through it, but now you have some context about why you're going through it and maybe some like words to describe what you're going through.
Hot take. If someone tells you they don't want to be in a relationship, they probably don't have the capacity for a relationship.
Yeah. They're not like, bring it on. Show me what you got.
That sounds so elementary saying it, but in my 20s, I really thought like they just had to find out. I could prove myself. If they spent more time, they would get attached. And usually not even usually, 100% of the times, those situations, they stayed the same exact way as when they started. Still no attachment.
Okay. I was just reading this. Top sentences used by scammers for romance scams. Okay. Top sentences. I never thought I would find love till I met you. I didn't believe in love till I met you. I've never met someone like you before. I feel like I'm a different person. I've never been like this around anybody before, because people know that if they tell you you're special or you have the potential to be special, you are locked in for life. That's what these scammers use. So when we hear someone go, I'm not ready for a relationship, you translate that to, you weren't ready for a relationship until you met me. I could be the one to change your mind because I am someone special.
And yeah, it's not usually the 0 to 100. Like they're giving you something that makes you think that. Yeah.
Yep. And then you're locked in because now you're invested, right? You're like, okay, now I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove you wrong.
So lesson here, someone could flat out tell you they love you and still not be ready. They could not tell you, but either you believe that they're in love or they're giving you little crumbs that show they might be in love and they still might not be ready. So it really is that silver bullet of finding someone where their actions, words, and patterns are all aligning. They're not so over the top, but they're not holding back, because I think over the top, then they go into scammer territory. And I think we're all being like, this seems a little too good to be true. If it's a little too good to be true, it's probably a little too good to be true.
Exactly. Yep.
And then, I'd say, again, like welcome any form of conflict early on, because I do think that tells you so much. Like, are they just going to bounce? Can you work through it together? Are you going to just brush it under the rug and pretend like this never happened? You know, not saying like you need to get into a fight with your date on the first date, but like early on, conflict is such a word that I feel like is misused. Like conflict to me is like any sort of friction. Like if you feel like they're not texting as much as you want, have a conversation and see how you're met with it. It's such good data to get that information, because you can have all the feelings in the world, but if they can't like work through this stuff with you, then it's not going to last.
No. Yeah, exactly. And if you're just wondering like who would be the right person for me, what do I believe? What is it that I'm looking for? In our book, How to Be Dateable, we have a list for you. The only 7 things that matter when it comes to finding a person who's right for you. It's such a simple list, but once you see it, you can start going down the list and then it'll be very clear to you. Okay, now I know. Now I know we're on the same page, or now I know we're heading the right direction.
I remember our editor just being like, this alone is like worth the book.
Yes.
Like, this is gold. Great gut check, that's for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So
well, go get it. Audiobook, Kindle, hardcover. Choose your poison, whatever you prefer.
howtobedateable.com.
Okay, great.
All right. We will chat with you all next week.
Bye.
From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara to lift and color from their brilliant eye brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is the go-to for amplifying everyday looks. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.